Okay, we are looking at the third question of our free response one assignment. Let me just scroll. Let me just jump up here real quick so you see. So yeah, we're working on our free response one, and we're looking at our third question. So we have Lead Mill Company that is a perfectly competitive pencil manufacturing firm, and they're able to sell all their pencils at a market price because they're a price taker. So the price they're taking from the market is $2 per dozen, and they can hire all the workers at the market wage rate of $8 per hour. So this is the output of the workers as they add more workers. This is the total output in dozens right here. So we need to use marginal analysis, and we need to figure out how many workers this firm should hire from 0 up to 8, somewhere in here, in order to maximize their profit. So I'm going to jump over to my other screen here. We know that firms in a perfectly competitive market are going to maximize their profit when the wage, which in this case is $8 an hour, equals marginal revenue product. Okay, so how do we figure out what that is? That's the important part here. Okay, so these are the total outputs. So we want to use these numbers to compute our marginal revenue product as we add a worker. So the change, marginal means change. So if we start with 0 and add one worker, that one worker is going to be able to produce 8 dozen pencils, and I'm almost positive that's per hour. It's like, it should be per hour. If it doesn't say it, we assume it. Let's see, all depends on wage rate. The output is given here. So we need to go ahead and assume that this is output per hour. Okay, so jump back over here. So in 1 hour, one worker on his own can produce 8 dozen pencils, which are sold at $2 each. So the revenue that first worker is going to bring in is $16. And in this case right here, total revenue is the same as marginal revenue because we're starting at 0. It's not going to be the case after 1, however. So let's look at what happens when we hire our second worker. A second worker is going to be able to produce 7 because this is total. So we've changed, or the margin is the difference between 8 to 15. So this second worker is able to add the production of 7 more dozen pencils, which brings in a revenue or a marginal or a change in revenue, not total, but a change or an addition in a revenue of $14. Now, when we keep moving down here and adding additional workers, we can see very easily that each additional worker is able to produce 1 fewer dozen pencils. So here it's 7. The difference here is 6. The difference here is 5, then 4, then 3, then 2, and then 1. So the marginal revenue product is this difference times 2. That's the marginal revenue product. So we can see it's getting lower and lower and lower as we add more workers. So we want to find that point where wage equals marginal revenue product, and that's going to be at 5. That's going to be, once we hire 5 workers, we have a marginal revenue product that equals the wage, the market wage, which the firm can't change. They're also price takers and wage takers, so they're going to stop right there and not hire any more than 5. Okay, that takes care of part A. Now part B, well, no, that's actually well, here you just want to say for part A, you just want to simply say that they're going to hire workers until a marginal revenue or product equals, and you can either say over here either a wage, or you can say, let me just add this, or you can say equals marginal factor cost, because the marginal factor cost, the cost of the labor of this, and a labor is a factor input to a production, one of them. So the marginal factor cost of this factor input labor workers is wage. So these are all equal. Okay, when these are all equal, and a wage is always going to equal a marginal factor or cost, you just want to stop at the point where marginal revenue product equals marginal factor cost or wage. Okay, so you want to make sure you are clear and state that for part A, and then part B we just figured that out. And you can explain how you would drive it by simply explaining in words what I just did. You calculate the marginal revenue product from the total output over here, and then you find that point where a marginal revenue product equals the wage. Okay, so you want to explain that. Okay, let's see. Okay, so now part C. What if the wage rate went down? Well, if the wage rate in the market dropped, then intuitively you know that the firm is going to hire less workers because they're having to pay them less. So if the wage was lower to $6 an hour, you simply look. Actually, why did I say that? I mean the other way. I just said it backwards. If they're able to pay workers less, they're going to hire more. I just said that backwards. So because they're able to hire more, because now they can hire up to a point where marginal revenue product equals wage, which if the wage is at $6, it's going to be this level right here, so they're going to be able to hire one more worker up to 6. Okay, so that answers part C. D, we want to look at what would happen if we kept the wage at $6 per hour, but the price of pencils went down to $1 per dozen. Okay, so we simply need to come back over, and I didn't actually write these numbers in, but that's just going to cut your marginal revenue product in half, because instead of $2 per dozen, it's $1. So instead of having a marginal revenue product here of 16, it's going to be cut in half to 8. This is 7. So this is 6 right here. So if we cut our marginal revenue product in half, and we have a wage of $6 an hour, then the level of hiring is going to be right here, because this is now 6, and that means that we're only going to hire 3 workers, a maximum of 3 workers. So that's how you figure that out. And I believe that takes care of question 3. Let's go back and make sure. Yeah, that's the whole thing. So you want to make sure that you understand marginal analysis and how you find marginal revenue product if you know what the total output is as you add workers, as it changes. And don't get confused between marginal and total, right? Because you got to know that the margin here is 7, okay? It's the change, right? Not the totals, okay? And I believe that will conclude our videos for the free response 1 assignment. Make sure you do these as neatly as you possibly can, especially when you're drawing the graphs, especially when you're drawing the graph for part 1, which is where I just had it up, which is over here. Really try to make these graphs legible. Use rulers, label clearly, write clearly, and make sure you use a scanner that works, and you can, so that when you submit your files as a PDF documents, I will be able to understand what you're saying and can give you the highest grade possible, because that's what I want to do. Okay, thank you.